Hello everyone, welcome to Ajiro Tech. In this video, we're going to be looking at the Cambridge International AS and A-Level Information Technology with the course code 9626. Paper 2, practical, and this is the specimen paper for examination from 2025. And we're just going to be focusing on the spreadsheet section in this video. So I'm going to scroll down to step 2. Okay. Open and examine the data in the file specfind.cxv. So I have this. So the first thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to extract. That's the first thing I will do. I'm going to extract. So I'm right here, paper 2. I'm going to right click, extract all, and click on extract. Okay. So I have this. So it says spec find. So I'm going to open the spec find. Okay, probably click here to select both the columns and row, double click here so that everything is fully visible. That's fine. Save this file as a spreadsheet with a file name find underscore followed by your center number and candidate number, and they've given you an example of how this is going to be. So I'll just copy this, and I'll click on file, save as. Remember, look at this, they said save this as a spreadsheet, right? So I already have it here, so I can just browse for it. Okay, so I'll paste it. Okay, then my center number is AN017, which is generic, underscore candidate number is 2024, and I'm going to save this as a spreadsheet. Click on save. The next one is add the content of the file spec dance. Where's spec dance? Yes, right here. Okay, there is it. Okay, there is it, right? They said as a new worksheet named dance in your file underscore workbook, right? When we talk about workbook are collections of worksheet. So it simply means that right here we can have multiple worksheets in this workbook. Okay, so right here on the find. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to do name dance. So this is going to be dance. So I'll copy this and I'll come here, right? And I'll click on the plus to add a new worksheet, right click on it, click on rename, and then I'm going to paste it. Control V, dance. There is it. Now we have the worksheet name dance. Hope that makes sense. Okay. We'll add the content from the spec dance. So what do? I'll come here and I'll click here to select all. Click here to select all, both the columns and row. You can double click on this, right? And then copy. Done. And then come here and then you paste here, right? So just Ctrl V, whichever one, just Ctrl V, and there we have it, right? Close this. So now we've done it. Okay, so we have this here, right, in our dance worksheet. All right, so in the dance worksheet, extract a list of the teacher's name from column A. So we have this. So this is the class and teacher. So the first words are the class. The second words are the teacher, okay, from column A, and place this in column O. Place this in column O, okay. Extract a list of classes from column A and place this in column P. All right. Sort both of this. So we're going to do it one after the other. So there are two things I'll be showing you today, how we can be able to extract each of them, certain words, and then split them into their various columns. Okay, so two things I want to be showing you today, and I think I have the luxury of writing. If we're going to talk about, let me get, do I have a free space? Yes, the flash fill, and then we'll be using a formula to do this. Okay, we'll be using a formula to do this, the formula. Okay, so let's do this. Let's use the flash fill, and then we're going to use the formula to actually accomplish this. Okay, so to use the flash fill, I think I can close this. So all I have to do is, here is I'm going to highlight this, shift control arrow down, and then I'll copy this temporarily and I'll paste it here. Okay, probably I'll just paste it from here. Okay, and now what I would do here is I'm just going to give Excel something to work with, knowing that the second words are the teacher. So I have donut. I'll come again and probably do Kayla, and come here again and probably do, since this is 2, meh, right? Do I have something for it to go with? Okay, maybe Catherine, right? And so what I would do is I'll click here, go to data. Right here, I have a flash fill. So if I click on the flash fill, guess what happens? It's going to complete it for me. That's what the flash fill does, right? So it automatically fills in value, and when you enter a couple of examples for it to see as an output, and it's going to take it from there. So that is it, right? For the class, still the same idea. So I have, I'm going to go with tab. Think I can have contemporary. Okay, and what again? Probably I will go with street. Is that enough information for it? Okay, ballot. Okay, I'll go with ballot. Okay, so what I will do is I'll click on the first one, click on flash fill, and it will automatically complete this for me. So here we have the class, and here we have the teacher. So donut here, all these are the teacher, and the first one is the class. That's one way. Another way we can do this is probably using a formula, right? So probably using a formula. So what do we do? I'll probably just show you this in a minute. Let me just copy this, two of them, and then you can see the difference. So let me do this, and then I can just show you the difference. So I can come here and I'll just quit it here, right? So here I can probably remove this. Okay, I can use anyone, right? I can use this to do this, or use here. So whichever one I'm going to use is still fine. So now to use the formula, this is what I'm going to do, and I want you to pay close attention to this. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I want to first of all put them in their various compartment by using maybe the left. Okay, so now the left function and the right function, you have an idea, right? So here the first one is the left, the other one is the right. Now the teacher is the right. Okay, so the teacher is the right. So what do? I use equals to right. I have right here. Okay, so what's the text that I want to work with? The text I want to work with is this right now, right? Okay, comma. The numbers of characters I want a length. Okay, so I'm going to have length. Okay, which return numbers of characters in a text string. So length, and what's the length? The length of this. Okay, and then this is what I'm going to do. It's going to give me this as well. Okay, it's going to give me this as well. So I'm going to use what we call the length, yes, minus the search. So I'm going to search for it. So what am I searching or find? You can use search or find. Okay, so which you want to use search, you want to use find. This is what search does, right? Returns the numbers of characters, which special characters or text string is first found. Or I use the find, okay, which returns the starting position of the text. So whichever one you want to use is fine. So if I'm using this, so I'm going to use a space. Okay, so I'll come here and all right, what again, I'm going with this, right? And I have this, and then I'll close this. I think that's fine. So if I hit on enter, what do I have? I have what? The donut. So it simply means that what this formula is saying, okay, right? Once they are separated by space, is going to extract what? That name. In this case, it's extracting the name at your right. Very, very important. So it is used to extract here the last name. That's right. In this case, is extracting the last word, okay, from this full word here in this particular cell. Okay, so a little bit of a breakdown of what I've just done, right, is that the first part of the formula would find, okay, the position of the space, okay, in the text within it. Okay, so for example, what we're having here is that in this space here, so anything outside the space is going to find it and is going to give it to you. So if I replicate this, so let's see what we have done. So we're having this, right? So which is almost the same thing as this, okay? Almost the same thing as this. Well, the length part of it here just calculates the total number of text in the cell, okay, like I talked about, and adding this with the search or find will calculate the character, right, from the position of the space to what? From the position of the space to the end of the string. Okay, hope that makes sense. All right. So in this case, we're having donut, right? So now for class, we're going to use, obviously, we're going to use left. So here we have left. So I'm going to choose the left part of it. So left here, I'm going to use this. Okay, I'm going to use find. Okay. So find, what am I finding? I'm finding the space. Just going to add a space here. Okay, comma. And then I have this, all right? And I have -1, okay? And I'll close this, and I have this. So that the whole idea of the -1 here is, now what I have a space, right? The -1 is to remove the space. So if without this -1 here, I'm going to be having something like still this, but there's a space here, right? There's a space here. But if I do -1, it takes off that space. So for example, in this case, if I'm having 4 -1 will give me what? 3, which is the word that I need. So whatever number of words you have, when you find the space, then it's going to put it here. So if I double click on this, I'm going to be having this. So now if you look at this, you tell me in the comment section which is more easier, using the right or the left function, or just using the flash fill here. Okay, so whichever one you want to do, it will still give you the same result, right? It will still give you the same result. Okay, so I just felt like putting that to your adding that to your knowledge. Okay, hope that makes sense. So probably I would just have to let go of this, just delete and just go with the flash fill. Okay, so now I can take this. So whichever you want to use is fine. Okay. Okay, the second part is, okay, P and O. Okay, sort them. P and O. Okay, good. So P is for the class and O is for the teacher. Sort both of this into alphabetical order. So let's sort them into alphabetical order. So I would highlight this. All right. And then you can do this in the home. Come here, right, and sort, or you can go to data, right? Click on data tab and then come here to sort. So I have this as A to Z, or you can come here to your custom sort to do that. Whichever one you want to do is fine. So I'm going to work with this since this is just a straightforward in alphabetical order. So I'm just going to click on continue with the selected word with the current selection. So I'm going to sort this, and I'm going to do that for class as well. So I'm going to highlight the class, or shift control out down, and then come here to this and sort them. Click on continue with the word current selection. So we have done this. Now the next thing is ensure there are no duplicate values. So we want to remove duplicate. So to do this, shift control Alt down. I'm going to come here, right, under my data tools, and I'm going to remove duplicate. So I'll click here, continue with the current selection, click on remove duplicate, and this column is checked, column O, and I'll click on OK. So now that is done. So they are now unique. Okay. So the next one is right here, shift control Alt down, and I'll come here to remove duplicates, continue with the current selection, remove duplicates, column P checked, click on OK, and then we have 14 duplicate that was found and removed, and now we have them to be unique. Okay, hope that makes sense. All right, place a single formula in cell QP to display QP. Where's QP? QP is right here. All right, Q2 rather, Q2. Okay, so this is a cell shows you the column and row, right? To display a list of months in this column, do not change the content of other cells in this worksheet. So we're not changing the content, we're just using a single formula in cell Q to display a list of months. So this simply means that this is the month here, so we want to transpose. Okay, I said it, I've given you the hint already. Okay, so we want to transpose this from the horizontal down here to make it vertical. So to do that, we're using a simple function equals to transpose, which would convert a horizontal range of cell to a vertical, and vice versa, right? And I'll click here transpose, and I'm going to highlight this, okay, and then hit on what, enter. Now if you're doing this and you're not having it, now this simple formula works from I think 2021 to 365, but if you're having anything less than 2021, you probably need to use the shift control and enter. What do I mean? Because if you do the simple formula, it's not going to work. So let me undo it. Now if you're using 2016, 2013, 2019, this is what you probably need to do. So if you hit on equals to transpose and you highlight this, okay, now the first thing you do here is, okay, let me just show you. Let me do this. The first thing you do here is you're going to highlight the cell, right? So probably I have to do this here. Okay, now because if you don't do this, right, for versions less than 2021, it's not going to work. Because I was having a class with my student on this, shift control enter, it's not going to work. Because when the student sent me the file, right, in my 365 there was an art here, and also an art here, an art symbol, but in his own version it wasn't showing that, so it was preventing it from working. So you have to hit on your shift control and enter for it to work, otherwise it's not going to work. But for 365 it's just a simple straight single formula. You don't have to do that. Okay, so knowing how to use your versions is very important. Okay, very important. Okay, and of course the examiners are going to mark it, so you have nothing to worry about. So here we have it here, simple. So just click here, so we have this. Okay, hope that makes sense. In the spec find worksheet, user would select the teacher, spec find. Okay, we select the teacher from our class type. Okay, teacher is B1, class type is B2, and month in cell B3, and numbers of students will be displayed. Okay, so step 3, in the spec find worksheet, edit cell B1 to B3 so that data can be selected from drop down list linked to the list added in step 2. So what they're simply saying that we need to put a drop down, and it should be linked to what we have created, okay, for this, which is the teacher, the class, and the month. So it should be linked to it. Okay, hope that makes sense. So let's see how we can do the drop down. So I'll come here to my spec find. Under my teacher name, right, I'll click on data, right? We have what we call data validation, right? And it's something we've talked about, right? To ensure that the data entered is reasonable or sensible from your textbook. Okay, so right here, I'm going to click here. So I have my data validation. Now I'll change this from allow, choose this to what? A list, from any value to list. And my source here, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to come here to dance worksheet, and I'm going to highlight this, and I'll click here, and I'll click on OK. So now we have the teacher's name. Okay, now for the class, I'll do the same thing again. I'll come here to my data validation, change the any values to list, and then right here under my source, I'll click here, go to my dance worksheet, and I will highlight this, click on OK, and I'll click on OK, and I will have for my class. I'm going to iterate it again for the month. So I'll come here to my data, under my data 2 section, data validation, change this to list, the source, go to my dance worksheet, and I'll highlight this, and I'll click on OK, and I'll click on OK, so we have it. Okay, step 4, right? Step 4, select the data from the drop down list and format it to look like this. Okay, so let's select data. So we're going to select this. So we have killer, class is ballet, month is what? September. Take note of how we need to format it to look like this. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this, go to home, make it right align. This is middle align, right, center align, and is bolded. Please take note of it. It's what? Bolded. Okay, so it's very, very important that we replicate exactly what we see. Step 5, place a formula in cell B5 that uses index and match function to display the numbers of students for the selected data, right? So index, match, what are they? Very important. So let's look at it, right? So when we come to the index, what index simply does is to return values as much as possible, right? To return values. So this is very, very important. And we talk about match. Okay, so let me just put down some notes right there that you see on the screen. Let me put down some notes. So we talk about index. It returns. This is for index. So for index, it returns what? Values. So it returns the value of an element in a table or array. Of course, selected by rows and column. By rows and column. Okay, of course, we'll talk about the rows and column what? Indexes. So that's what the index does. It's just to return what? The value in an element in a table or an array. Okay, and of course, number indexes, right? So now let's explain what we have done. What are we talking about? So here we want to use the index and match. Now when we talk about the match as much as possible, when we talk about the match, what the match does is just to search. The match function is just what? To search. That's what the match does, right? It searches what? It searches for a specified item. This is not just to solve a past paper, but also to teach you a specified item in a range. In a range of cells. Of cells. Okay, and returns. Now it returns that relative. Returns. Okay, the relative what? Position of the item. Okay, so we have it. So returns what? The what? Relative position of the item within that range. Okay, hope that makes sense. Within that range. So for example, let's do this. Okay, so now let's look at this. Let's say, for example, we want to find the index. Okay, we want to find the index of this. So here we have equals to index. Okay, so now we have a full array here. Okay, and now we want to look for row 5. Okay, row 5, and then we have, what column is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let's do 5 by 5. Okay, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for June. And let's see what we have. We have 188. So this is row 5, right? 1, okay, it's going with row 5. So 1, sorry, that's here, right here. Sorry. So this now will now be row 6, but it's row 5 because counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then 6. So you can see we have what? 188. So if you count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you see that. Now, when we talk about, that's for the index. Now, when we talk about the match, let's say we want to know the position of Kate. Okay, so let's look for the position of Kate. Cat, right? So we have equals to match. So the lookup value is going to be this, comma. The lookup array, I'm going to highlight this. Okay, and this is going to be an exact match. And if I close this, it shows you that the position of cat is what? 6. So if you count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there you go. There you have it. So now, hope this makes sense. So combining these two things that you've been taught right now, let's go back to the step. So place a formula in cell B5. So let's look for B5. B5 is right here. B5, we have the name box to show us, right? That uses index and match function to display numbers of students for a selected area. So what it simply means that we want to know the numbers of students that is taught by this teacher Kayla, by the class ballet, and for the month of what? September. So the first thing I'm going to work with is the index. Equals to index. Okay, come here, shift control R right, R down, comma. My row number is going to be with match, right? So I want to match the item. So my lookup value is going to be here. I'm going to start with, let's look at this. Ballet. So ballet first. So it's going to be ballet. Now I want to add them together because it's a ballet space scalar, right? So I'm going to use what we call concatenate, right? I'm going to concatenate them, and that simply means I'm going to use an and, a space, okay, a space here. I'm going to do an and, right, comma, right? The lookup no, an and, okay, and then a killer. Good. Okay, because now we're going to have ballet killer. Okay, comma. The lookup array is going to be here, right, comma, and it's going to be an exact match. So I'll close this, comma. Then let's look for month. So I'm going to match it. The lookup value is going to be this for this, comma. The lookup array can be this or this, whichever one. I'm going to go with this. Not giving me exactly what I want, so let me do this. Let me make it 13. Okay, comma. It's going to give an exact match. Close it, comma, and then I'm going to go with 1, which is the area number here, right? So the area number here is going to be 1, and this should give us what? 197. Okay, 197, because it's displaying the first number for the row number. Okay, so it's giving us 197. So if we verify that ballet scalar for September is what? 197, which is what? Correct. So hope that makes sense. All right. Use the spreadsheet to find numbers of students for the following extract. For each extract, save your spreadsheet with the question number followed by your center number underscore candidate number, for example. So we have ballet with killer in September. So I'm going to save it as this 6A underscore, right? And then your center number, candidate number. So I'm going to click on, let's look at this. Okay. So we have this as well. So this is going to be right aligned. It's important. Make this right aligned. This is going to be what? Center. Following the structure of this, and I'm going to bold it. Okay. So I'll save, file, save as. Or we can go and browse. It's still fine. So this is going to be 6A, my center number, and then candidate number. Okay. So the next one is Street with James. So the class is Street. The teacher's name is what? James. What month is it? November. Okay. So I'm going to click on File, Save As, Browse, make it a B, and then Save. The next one is Tap with Adams. The class is a Tap. Teacher's name is Adam. What month is it? June. File, Save As. I can do it here as well. I'm just doing that for those who don't have this interface, and then save. Okay. Step 7. Add a new worksheet called chart. Please type it exactly the way it is. A new worksheet. So I'll click on the plus, and I'm going to rename it with chart. Okay. To your workbook, copy cell A1 to M20 and P1 to P6 from your dance worksheet into the same cell in your chart worksheet. So A1 to M20, A1 to M20. I'm going to copy it, come to my chart, Ctrl V to paste it, and P1 to P6, copy it, and I'm just going to paste it exactly the way it is. Okay. In your chart worksheet, insert a new column between A and B. Between A and B. So I'll click here. Okay. Now come here to insert. Come here to insert sheet column. So we have it between. Yes. In cell B2, place a replica formula to extract only the type of class from column A. Only the type of class from column A. So we have this. The column here is going to be type of class. Okay. Extract only the type of class from column A. So to do this, we're going to use a left function, which is something I've taught you earlier. So the left. So now we have the left. The left is going to be from this, comma. I'm going to use a find. What am I finding? I'm finding this. Okay. So what text am I finding? A space. So anything in a space, let's give a space here. Okay. Comma. So within the text, it should be this. So it's going to be left after the space. Left after the space. And the starting number should be 2. I'll explain the concept of the 2. The 2 simply means that if there's going to be a space at the beginning, it should skip that space and begin from the second one. So even if there's a space, there's no space, it's fine. It's still going to work. Okay, but just in case there's a space at the beginning, it's going to what? Skip it and begin from that word. Okay, comma, and then -1. Now the reason why we do -1 is is going to find the total number including the space, which is what, let's say for example we have tab, including the space is what, 4. So minus 1 will give us what, 3. Okay, minus 1 will give us what, 3. And then we have it, we hit on this, and then we have this. Okay, it's like saying you're looking at find. Let me just say find, and then you have a space. Okay, within the text you have this. Okay, so if we have this, it's going to find it that is 4, right? But if we come here and do minus 1 and we close it, okay, and we close it, okay, it's going to show us 4. Now if you come here, now you see that with minus 1 we're having what, 3, which is what exactly what this word is. So what we are not doing is we added now the left, just to explain what it is, the left, and then what are we left in? Which word are we going to make at the left? Right here in this word, we're clicking here and we're doing a comma, and then we're just closing this, and then we have this. Hope that makes sense. So now we can just double click to replicate, and then we have this. Okay, copy cell C1 to N1 into cell R1 to AC1, C1 to N1. Copy cell C1 to N1. So C1 to N1. Okay, I have to ensure that I highlight all, double click. So everything is showing properly. Okay, so I think I can just do this, increase it a bit. Perfect. Okay, so C1 to what? N1. So I'm going to copy it and I'm going to place it here. This is going to be R1 to what? AC1. And I'm going to paste it. Sorry, let me do it again. Copy. And then I have R1 to AC1 and I'm going to paste. Okay, good. Place in cell R2. Okay, a replica formula that displays the total number of students studying this class in this month. Replicate the formula for all classes and months. So for us to do this, now a replica of this shows that I want to calculate the total number of what students studying this class. So I want to know for each number of students studying what, ballet, okay, or ballet, whichever one, right? Okay, so we have this. So now we can see that we have a lot of ballet here. So getting to the number of students doing for ballet this, we use what we call a sum if, obviously, because we don't have time to start doing manually. Okay, 54 plus this total number of students for each month. So we just use a sum if to do that, right? So here I have a sum if. The range here is this. Shift Control arrow down, comma. My criteria is palette, comma. The sum range is here. Shift Control arrow down. Okay. Now I'm going to, before I hit on enter, I'm going to log this. Now the reason why I want to log this is it doesn't, once I'm replicating, it doesn't move forward. So I'm going to make this an absolute. To make an absolute during the course of replication that it remains the same, I'm going to use Fn plus F4. Fn plus F4, and I'm going to lock it in, right? So now for this as well, I'm going to lock it in, but this is what I'm going to do. When I'm replicating across month, I want the columns to change, but the values to remain the same. So I'm only going to add a dollar sign to the column. So when I'm replicating across month, what am I saying? Once I'm replicating across the months, it goes from C to D, right? But the values here in the row sections remains the same. So I'm going to add a dollar sign. Now for this as well, when I'm replicating, right? When I'm replicating, the queue should remain the same. The column should remain the same, but the rows can change. Okay, so I'm going to log this in, and then let's see what we have done. Okay, so let me see. So this column, the column remains the same, the value changes. No, that's not what I want. It's not going to give me, no, it's not going to give me what I want. So this queue, for the queue now, if I'm replicating here, let's do this. This is working fine. Why? Because this is changing to Q5, Q6, and the rest. Okay, but for here, right, it remains the same. This is C what? C2. So it should go to D. It should go to D, right? So I'm going to lock this in here. So add this. Okay, remove this. It's not this. This is, I'm locking the column. I should be locking the row. Yes. Good. Perfect. Okay. So now I have this. Good. Perfect. So now everything is changing. Now the values has changed because guess what? I have now what? Locked in what? The values. Right? I've locked in the rows and the column remains what? The same. Okay. So now if I replicate across board, this is what I'm going to have. Okay. So this is what I'm going to have at the end of the day. Okay. Very important. This is what I'm going to have at the end of the day. So if you look at this, you would see, right, that this is actually what? Very correct. Okay, very correct. If you look at this, okay, so because again, we're doing a sum. If this is the condition which is valid, right, you can try to do it manually. It's going to work for you. That's also fine. But to make your work very, very easy, and it's stated in the question that you need to what? Replicate the formula for all classes and month. So again, the absolute is for the Q. So you can see that this is Q3, this is Q4, this is, so it still remains in Q. So when I replicate across board, guess what changed? The column. So it simply means it went from January to what? February, right? To March, but all this content from Q2 to Q2, D to D2 to 20 remains the same. Okay? All right. Use your chart worksheet to create a fully labeled and appropriate chart to compare the numbers of students for each type of class for each month. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to highlight everything. Now to compare the numbers of students, we're going to use a line graph. And the reason why I'm using a line graph is because of how voluminous the values are. Okay, so we're going to use a line graph. Click on insert. Under the line graph, we're going to use 2D. Okay, fully labeled and appropriate chart. So fully labeled includes your legend, your category axis, your value axis, an appropriate title. So what title are we giving to it? Compare the numbers of, so I'll just go with this, number of students. Okay, I'll go with this, number of students for it. Okay, so I'm going to paste this. So this is going to comparing, let me do that, comparing the number of students for each type of class for each month. Okay, I think I'll go with this. Okay, so I'm just going to make this bold and make it black. Now I'm going to also add what? A category what? I'm going to add a category axis title and then a horizontal as well. So category, which is the primary vertical and primary what? Horizontal. So for my axis title, I'm going to check both of them because it needs to be an appropriate right here, a fully labeled appropriate chart. Okay, so here is going to be the month, obviously. and here is going to be what number of students. Okay, numbers of students. Okay, so I'm going to make this bold and black, make this bold and black. Okay, all right. Now the next thing I'm going to do is save this as a spreadsheet with a file name. So I'm just going to move this really, right? I want it to be very clear and very all the values and everything label fully visible. So what will I do? Okay, so what I'll do here is I'm going to go to chart design, move chart, right? I'm going to move it to a new sheet, click on OK. So I have this here, right? And I'm going to click on home, increase it, increase this as well, increase this. Okay, that's fine. Let me see. Okay, so now I'll click on file, click on save as. So this is going to be what chart. You can browse. Okay, so chart underscore your center number underscore your candidate number, and I'll click on what save. Okay, so there we have it. We are done with this particular task for the A level. All right, so please do well to share this video with your friends and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Okay, see you in the next one.